This is an AI article that I just created and it has over 2,000 words. How about this one? Another AI article that has 3,000 words. And this one is even crazier. It has over 5,000 words. And you might be thinking, well, that doesn't particularly sound amazing. But this is actually quite difficult to achieve. And if you have been using AI to generate content, then you know that there is this limitation when working with AI. So I saw so many discussions and guides on the internet on how to get the correct word count when using AI to generate content, meaning that this is a known problem. We get better AIs every few months or so, but when it comes to counting, AI is still not very good. Large language models like GPT, Gemini, Claude, and many others are not designed to process the response based on a number of words. Instead, it's actually focused on completing the answer. So AI doesn't really care about the number of words. The main objective is just to get the answer as accurate as possible, even though it's not even perfect. Now, another thing that you need to know is that telling AI to write a 2,000-word article is not going to make AI to do so. If you ask AI to generate a 2,000-word blog post article, there is a good chance that it won't be able to reach 2,000 words. And it is generally known that AI or large language models are really bad at counting. In fact, this is one reason why the strawberry test, which is the test to count the number of the letter R's in the word strawberry, is a quite popular benchmark to see if AI is smart enough to count numbers. But the strawberry test is actually kind of easy for AI today, but counting the number of words in an article is still basically impossible. So then, how am I able to create a 5,000-word article like that one? Well, there are some techniques. In this video, I'm going to show you my strategies to force AI to write a very long article quite consistently. But just to be clear, we cannot get the exact number of words. Like if you're trying to get a 2,000-word article, it's not going to be exactly 2,000. It's basically still impossible at the moment, but we can get very close to that number. Maybe we can expect something like 1,990 or maybe 2,100 words, or perhaps 2,200 words. I think something that is similar or close to the target number is still quite possible. So there are 4 strategies that I'm going to tell you in this video. They are ranging from easy to somewhat tricky to follow, but if you can implement these techniques, I will guarantee that it will give you much better results. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive into the tip number 1. Okay, the first thing that you can do to improve the number of words in the AI response is by using a specific prompt. I think this is a no-brainer. Even if you don't have any target on the number of words that you want to have, you still need to make sure that the prompt to be as specific as possible. If you are trying to create a blog post or maybe a YouTube video script, you need to specify the writing style, the angle, the way you address the readers or viewers, and other things that you might want to include in the content. So for example, if I'm creating a blog post, in my normal prompting, I would usually specify what each heading should look like. I will specify how many paragraphs per section, what is the length of each paragraph, what is the style of the sentence in the paragraph, and whether or not it should include bold or italic text. So those are the tiny details, but if you add these things up, it will basically force AI to produce a much longer content. And that's exactly the thing that you want to do when you are creating a content or a piece of content using AI. So that was the strategy number 1. The tip number 2 is if your AI tool has access to the internet, tell it to do a more deeper research. AIs like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Perplexity have access to the internet, so they can read pages and deliver you answers based on those pages. So the more pages it reads, the more detail it will generate the answers. And a simple instruction or a simple prompt like do a deep research or do a thorough research will force AI to read more content from the internet. And my favorite technique is actually asking AI to do a research on a slightly different but related subtopic. So it might get some insight that it will never learn if it sticks to the main topic only. And by the way, you can actually check my other video on what prompt that I use when it comes to creating a blog post. Now, anyway, let's move on to the next point. So the strategy number 3 is add some obstacles when prompting AI. It might sound strange, but it makes a lot of sense. I'll give you one example and you will understand what I mean. This is just a picture of a dog playing in the park. Quite simple, but imagine if you had to describe this picture without mentioning the word dog or the word park. I can guarantee you that when you are testing or you are asking ChatGPT, Gemini, or pretty much any AI model to describe that picture without mentioning those two words, the response is going to be very long and much more detailed. That's because you give some obstacles to AI. You will basically force AI to be more creative at the wording. And I think that's the simplest thing that you can do. But my favorite way is by utilizing a list of words that it should avoid in the AI response. So I have created this very long list of cliché words that AI often uses. By eliminating these words, it will make the wording more creative and the content more unique, and you will likely get a longer response. I updated the list so it is more comprehensive now, and if you are interested, you can use the link in the video description. Okay, so let's move on. And the last tactic that you could use is quite obvious, but I think a lot of people seem to ignore it. So you need to use an AI model that has a large output token. Token in AI is essentially the amount of words that AI can process. The bigger the token, the more likely you can get a longer response. For example, GPT-4 from OpenAI has 8,000 output tokens. In contrast, GPT 3.5, also from OpenAI, has only 4,000 output tokens. That means, in theory, GPT-4 can provide a longer output or longer response than GPT 3.5. And of course, there are other things to consider, but generally speaking, if you're using an AI model with a larger output token, you should be able to get a longer response because it is just within the capacity of the AI model. So if you have implemented the other 3 strategies and no matter how hard you try and somehow AI is still unable to produce the content close to your specific word count, then maybe that's a sign that you should be using a different AI model. But of course, I can understand that switching to a different AI model is not very practical and sometimes it can be quite expensive. And that's one reason why I'm using Perplexity AI. It has multiple AI models and I think it is one of the best AI tools for AI writing. So if you want to learn more on how Perplexity could benefit you when writing, check out my video on why I think Perplexity is the best tool for AI content creators. So click on that video and I'll see you there.